Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Before I get into the video today, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to all of you who supported me. I finally reached 1,000 subs and I've applied to YouTube's partner program. So just waiting for my application to process. If you're enjoying the content, please consider leaving me a like and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into the video today. Right guys, today's video is going to be a kit review of Dory from Finding Nemo, who's come into the game. She's got an extremely interesting kit. It's a little bit like Violet, it's very unique. And straight off the bat, she's going to be quite good against ranged. If we start with her attributes, you can see here that she's got about 8k health. This gives her the second highest health pool out of all the supports, which means her heals are going to be pretty good. Defense, attack, and focus are fairly standard, with her focus being one of the worst of the supports, which kind of makes sense because Dory is pretty forgetful. Before we check her traits, I did just want to comment on her design. I think the design is awesome. I love this little machine that they've put together for her. So yeah, hats off to Kabam on this one. Right, moving on to her traits. So she's going to be both seafaring and high tech. This means she's going to be quite desirable for towers. I am so sick of using Frank for seafaring, so any new support is welcome. She's also a goofball and she's Pixar. There's speculation of a Pixar tower, but I don't know anything about that. Goofball has been used a lot recently, so very, very good trait to have there. Right, let's jump into her abilities. So her core ability, when Dory is inflicted with a damaging debuff, she gains a forgetful charge for 3 seconds, cleansing all damaging debuffs from all allies on expiry. This effect can only occur once every 7 seconds. And this can be massive, you know, like to gain these forgetful charges passively to then cleanse all damaging debuffs from allies on expiry. I don't know, this just seems like it could be an absolute monster ability, especially when you're going to be fighting multiple enemies that are just laying down the debuffs. This to me seems like it's going to be pretty OP. Then Dory is immune to focus buffs and focus debuffs, which kind of makes sense. You know, she's pretty forgetful, she can't focus. She indeed suffers from short-term memory loss, so kind of cute that they did that there. And then lastly, Dory's heavy attack can hit and knock back all enemies in a wide arc in front of her. This knockback does not affect bosses. Again, I think this could be genuinely quite OP. Like, it's not often you want to control supports, but in this instance it does feel like Dory is maybe someone you want to control. A little bit like Scrooge. When you play with Scrooge, you want him to gain his gold coins. With Dory here, you might want to use these heavy attacks to knock back enemies. It seems like this core ability in general is pretty damn impressive. Moving on. So her special ability is Just Keep Swimming, and it has a cooldown of 15 seconds, so fairly standard, fairly slow, which is pretty typical of supports. All of the allies heal 2.5% each second for 6 seconds. This works out to be 15%, which is quite big, and because she's got a big health pool, it means she's going to heal quite well. It's very, very similar to Frank. She's going to be just marginally less than Frank in terms of healing, but the difference is Frank just heals in his circle, and Dory seemingly doesn't. It seems like Dory can just heal from anywhere. The one thing I will say though is that it does say here all other allies heal for 2.5% each second for 6 seconds, meaning she isn't going to heal herself. However, Dory gains a second wind buff for 8 seconds. When this effect expires, she's going to heal for 60% of the damage taken. So she is going to heal herself, but you're pretty much never going to be able to get her back to full health by herself. Now her signature ability does increase the potency on this, but it doesn't take it up to 100%. And then we've also got the fact that Dory knocks back all enemies around her. Now what I'm gathering from all of this is that you probably want to actually control Dory quite a bit, and you probably want to just take her into the middle of battle so she can do this knockback. And because she's going to heal herself back reasonably well, so it doesn't matter if she's going to get damaged too much, but it definitely looks like Dory is a character you're going to want to control. A little bit like Frank. As I said, I'm not the biggest fan of controlling my supports, but who knows, maybe we'll make an exception for Dory. I can't wait to test her. Anyway, this special ability seems pretty good. It's definitely got a great heal, and the second wind buff, we're just gonna have to see how that plays out. And then moving on to her signature ability, I alluded to the fact that this ability increases the potency of a second wind buff from her special ability by 35%. So in essence, you've got 60% from her special. If you've maxed this ability out, because this is obviously going to be the scaling percentage, if you've maxed this signature ability out, she's going to heal herself for 95% of the damage taken, which is pretty awesome. And then Dory gains 50% defense at the start of each encounter. This is just going to help her survivability, which is always great. So yeah, not a useless signature ability by any stretch. Pretty great signature ability, in fact. So one of those that if you do go all in on Dory is one way you might want to spend your signets. And now if we look at her talents, so first two talents are going to be the basics, and there's nothing to sing and dance around here too much. It's just straight up increasing health and increasing defense. I do sometimes like using a basic talent for supports to increase their heal, but I'm going to say this right now, you don't want to be using it. Her talents are way too good. Right, so her first advanced talent is Have We Met? So Dory gains 20% armor for each damaging debuff cleansed from her by her Forgetful Charge. This is pretty great, to be honest. Like, she gives herself extra defense, so she's going to give herself quite a lot of armor here when she's cleansing these damaging debuffs. Despite the fact that she's going to struggle to heal herself back to full health, it's a little bit like Wally here. I think she's going to be gaining a lot of armor just from cleansing these debuffs. So I think this is a talent you might want to equip. Definitely, you know, it might even be too OP, I don't know. It seems pretty amazing. Then her second advanced talent, the first time an enemy hits Dory each combat, they receive a minus 20% focus debuff for 15 seconds, and this can stack for 3. This effect can be triggered again every time a Forgetful Charge on her expires. And then this is the interesting bit. So Dory's special ability lures all ranged enemies for 8 seconds. When she's getting hit, she's going to be given these minus 20% focus debuffs and then attracting range. And obviously range rely on the focus. So it seems like a pretty obvious counter to ranged here. This is another talent that I'd probably want to equip, unless for whatever reason Dory just somehow gets melted by range. Again, we'll have to see with testing. Then her final advanced talent, enemies that hit Dory with a critical hit receive a minus 50% critical damage debuff for 8 seconds, and this only stacks for 1. And we got this little bit extra here, so when Dory activates her special ability, she cleanses Root from all allies. So in my mind, you probably want to equip Blinding Optimism alongside Great First Impression. Both seem to be counters for ranged, stacking 3 of these minus 20% focus debuffs, and then also having a minus 50% critical damage debuff for 8 seconds. It just seems like it'd be a great counter to ranged. Also the fact that she cleanses Root. We know that a lot of ranged characters actually root on their special abilities. I'm thinking Zerg, I'm thinking Judy, I'm also thinking like Gaston. They all have some kind of root embedded in their kit. So to me, this just screams like another amazing counter to the range class. I think in towers, level 30 against Maleficent and Hades, she's going to be great there. She might even be great against Jafar in the story mode. We'll just have to see. And then finally, let's look at her elite talent. So can't quite remember. So Dory resists 10% damage from ranged enemies. When Dory activates her special ability, she gains a Forgetful Charge for 3 seconds. Again, this just seems like another counter to ranged. And when she's activating a special ability, she's gaining Forgetful Charge, which ordinarily she would only get from her core ability. And as we know, these Forgetful Charges are going to cleanse. So again, I really think this is going to be quite a difficult decision on which talents you want to equip with her, because all her advanced talents and this elite talent are pretty amazing. I'd say the last 2 advanced talents plus that elite are all just massive counters to ranged. But Have We Met gaining this 20% armor for each damaging debuff cleanse just seems OP. So I actually don't know what I'd want to equip on her here. I really can't wait to test her. So what do I think of Dory? I think she's got a super interesting kit. I think she's going to be very, very solid against ranged enemies. I think she's going to be a fantastic healer for the team. For me, she's going to immediately replace Frank if I can get her. Am I going to wail on her? Am I going to wail on Violet? Honestly, guys, I'm spending too much money on this game. I need to rein it in, so I probably won't. But because I'm part of this content creator program, I'm going to be very fortunate to be able to test and give my feedback. And you never know, things might change if I think she's just too good to pass up. Anyway, those are my initial impressions for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.